project was actually my honors thesis, and I looked at a report that came out in 2009 from the National Academy of Science, and it essentially detailed everything that was wrong with the field of forensic science. So my project was really a review of this as well as the responses to it, to really kind of defend against it as to why it was really being too harsh or too unrealistic with the goals it was setting for the field. One of the biggest findings was the actual cost of everything that they wanted us to implement. The report itself gave us 13 suggestions, one of the biggest ones being that they didn't want the labs to be affiliated with the law enforcement anymore. So I went through and looked at the statistics for how much the labs use in money now, what they need to kind of get up to par with where they want us to be, and found that it would take about $2 billion in the first year to remove all 411 labs from law enforcement control.
So this is part of kind of a first year of a 2-year study. Basically, for this first year, I'm examining basically the variation in macroinvertebrates, which are just stream invertebrates that you can see with the naked eye, so kind of larger, and then stream salamander species, and basically just evaluating how the diversity and abundance of those two groups changes as you move across the landscape of southeastern Kentucky. The kind of the thing I'm most excited about is so there's been a lot of research looking at both these groups as bioindicators, which just basically means that by evaluating them, you get kind of an idea of how high the quality of the stream is. And so basically, we created these predictive models to look at different variables we measured in the stream and get an idea. And we created these models basically showing what factors predicted for high abundance or diversity of these two groups. So things like stream width and like the presence of certain kinds of cover objects basically impacted the diversity and abundance seen of those two groups.
You can solve the problem of time as far as analyzing water samples on a recreational level, on a lakes or beaches. The current standard that is used by the US EPA recommends the culture method. That one takes a long time, 18 to 24 hours. But my project is real time, so it's going to tell us, it's going to cut all the time. Yeah. So I'm trying to find more data to make sure that the instrument can work and can predict the E. coli, yes, to be more definitive. So far I got 30 samples, and I want to raise the statistical power by collecting more data.
Well, I wanted to look at why mothers decided to leave violent relationships, and I wanted to find a way to look at it without actually going out and doing the interviews, because as an entry-level researcher, that's just not a possibility. So I found this amazing way of doing research. It's really similar to a meta-analysis, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but instead of the quantitative data, instead of taking the numbers, you look at the qualitative data. And I loved that it had a really systematic way of looking at it, and I ended up being able to find a sample of 150 mothers and look at the reasons why they left. And my graph here shows some of the dimensions of their decision making. And all of them left because there was a stagnant or worsening situation. They wanted to work for their children's best interests. And there were other reasons that factored in as well that I wasn't expecting to see. Overall, what I would say I found from it is that there are a lot of really meaningful ways that you can interact with mothers, and outside intervention does make a difference. And also, it's a really good way for researchers to look at data. You can actually find a really valuable picture of a large group of data by getting the overall whole, and you can it's really cost-effective and ethical as well, because you're using what's already out there and you're not re-interviewing such a vulnerable population about something that's really not great to talk about, but you can still get the research on it.